So, we have been talking about the events that led up to the passing of the 14th Amendment, right? The last time we were together, we talked about the Memphis Massacre of 1866, and now we're going to talk about the New Orleans Massacre of 1866, okay? And for this conversation, I want you to remember that back in the day, Republicans were the liberals and Democrats were the conservatives. Okay? Okay. Now, the massacre occurred on July 30th, and all of this because the Republican Party, they called for a constitutional convention in Louisiana. Okay? And the constitutional convention was to be held in the Mechanics Institute. They called the convention because they were mad. They were heated. And they were heated because New Orleans had enacted the Black Codes. Okay? Remember, we talked about the Black Codes earlier this year. They were laws that severely restricted the lives of Black people. Okay? And not only did they pass the Black Codes, but they refused to allow Black men the right to vote. Okay? So the Republican Party said, no, this will not do. We need to meet again. Okay? And the convention was attended by both Black and white delegates. Okay? Okay. Now, the white Democrats considered the reconvened convention to be illegal, and they were mad because the Republicans were trying to gain more political power in the state. Now, outside, there were about 130 peaceful protesters. Peaceful, okay? But violence erupted because the 130 peaceful protesters were set upon by a mob of white rioters, which led to a full-scale massacre. Now, the white mob was made up of ex-Confederate soldiers and white supremacists and members of the New Orleans police. This group was organized and led by the mayor, John T. Monroe. Yeah. This next part comes from Ron Chernow. The whites stomped, kicked, and clubbed the black marchers mercilessly. Policemen smashed the Institute's windows and fired it indiscriminately until the floor grew slick with blood. They emptied their revolvers on the convention delegates who desperately sought to escape. Some leaped from windows and were shot dead when they landed. Those laying wounded on the ground were stabbed repeatedly, their skulls bashed in with brickbats. The sadism was so wanton that men who kneeled and prayed for mercy were killed instantly, while dead bodies were stabbed and mutilated. African Americans on the street were pulled off of streetcars to be summarily beaten and killed. By the end of the massacre, at least 200 Black Union War veterans were killed, including 40 delegates at the convention. Altogether, 238 people were killed and 46 were wounded. Federal troops responded to suppress the riot and jailed many of the white insurgents. The governor declared the city under martial law until August 3rd. And again, the reasons that they give are all fancy. They say that The massacre stemmed from deeply rooted political, social, economic causes, and that it took place in part because of the battle between two opposing factions for power and office. And we know the real reason is because of racism.